he's down here. I think they're gonna bring him in too. I think so. I mean, it's like he made an extradition back in August. I'm just not sure why they. But I mean, he's gonna wait now. So.
Okay. First is Chad Martin for an extradition. Put that in there. Yeah.
I think I heard you asking, there were some bar charges, they resulted in, suspension disposition, and the line served.
Okay.
You can serve.
Okay. They just didn't come get him the last time.
Well, he's been in custody, this is right over a while
Okay.
before that.
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody signed again.
Court will call 25 CF 2821, State of Wisconsin versus Chad Gerald Martin, extradition appearances.
ADA Carl Lazarus for the state.
Eric Slater appears with Mr. Martin, who appears in person in custody. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. We're here for an extradition hearing. Is Mr. Martin intending to waive?
He is.
You have.
Excuse me, Mr. Martin. Sir.
Attorney Schluter, you met with Mr. Martin prior to today's hearing, is that correct?
Just before this hearing, yes.
And you had a talk with him about his right to contest extradition or have a waiver of extradition, is that correct?
Yes,
And he has decided to waive his right to an extradition hearing?
that's correct.
Mr. Martin, I saw you sign this document for waiver of extradition. Is it correct that you intend to waive your right to an extradition hearing?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you had any alcohol, drugs, or medications today that interfere with your thinking at all?
No, man.
What grade in school have you completed?
12th grade in some college.
You read, write, and understand the English language? Do you have any questions about your waiver here today?
No, ma'am, I signed it before, that's the only confusion I had, because I had already signed it.
We're doubly signed, we're ready to go then?
Yeah, yes, ma'am. I
All
was
right.
trying to go by Christmas, that's what I was wondering, what do you mean, it's signed it? You got like 30 days once it's signed, it says, oh.
I'll find that your waiver of an extradition hearing is knowing, intelligent, and voluntary. I will bind you over into the, I'll remand you to the custody of the Sheriff's Department. Good luck to you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am, you're good. That's fine, thank you, sir.
We never can, but it's stairs. Or. Next is NAHRAHJAZE Smith.
It's not, really quick word, stand on the yellow.
Roll call 25 CF 2802, State of Wisconsin versus NAHRAHJAZE Smith. Appearances.
ADA Carl Lazarus for the state.
Eric Schluter appears with NAHRAHJAZE Smith, who appears in person in custody. Ms. Smith is eligible for public defender representation, would acknowledge receipt of the criminal complaints. And Commissioner at this time would move to dismiss count 2, the obstructing officer of that complaint.
Argument.
Judge, from my read of the complaint, it appears that, and state and correct me if I'm wrong, that they're basing that on potentially Ms. Smith providing a false name. I think what they lay out in the complaint is that Ms. Smith is talking to EMS personnel. It seems that there's an officer potentially somewhere nearby when EMS personnel is asking Ms. Smith about her name, and Ms. Smith gives personnel a different name. I don't think there's any indication that Ms. Smith ever speaks directly to law enforcement about her name or would have knowledge that she was giving a false name to law enforcement at that same time.
Response, or do you need a minute?
Maybe just a second.
Sure.
Thank you. For the sake of, I guess, brevity, and there's no victim associated with count two. And I guess there was maybe an OD or overdose situation going on, which could affect somebody's responses to law enforcement. I have no objection.
Based upon the non-objection of the state, count two, the obstructing charge is dismissed. Did you say the address on the complaint 1819 is the best mailing address for Ms. Smith?
Actually, it is.
I have reviewed counts 1 and 3 of the criminal complaint. As to the misdemeanor charge, I do make a probable cause finding and enter a not guilty plea on Ms. Smith's behalf. State's position on bail.
Yes, Your Honor. Noting that it appears Ms. Smith has a DOC hold, and given the nature of the remaining allegations, possession of drug paraphernalia and possession of methamphetamine, the state would just ask for a signature bond with no specific conditions.
Any objection?
No.
I will enter a signature bond. I will order that you not use or possess any controlled substances or drug paraphernalia without a valid prescription during the pendency of this action. Time limits as to the preliminary hearing, counsel.
I'd ask them to keep them.
Time limits are not waived. A preliminary hearing shall be timely scheduled. We're adjourned in Ms. Smith's case.
Next is ODIN HANSEN, appearing via Zoom.
Or call 25 CF 2939, State of Wisconsin versus ODIN HANSEN, appearances.
ADA Carl Lazarus for the state.
Eric Sluter appears with Odin Hansen, who appears in custody by Zoom from the Dane County Jail. Mr. Hansen, can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear me all right?
Hear you, yep, loud and clear, yep.
Okay, Mr. Hansen gave me a thumbs up. I also can hear Mr. Hansen. Sir, did you receive a copy of the criminal complaint?
Yes,
Okay, is the address listed 5256 Brandenburg Way still the best mailing address for you?
correct, yes.
Okay, judge would acknowledge receipt of the criminal complaint, waive formal reading, stand mute. As Mr. Hansen indicated, the address is correct. And I would note he is eligible for public defender representation.
I have reviewed the criminal complaint. I do make probable cause finding as to the misdemeanor charges and enter a not guilty plea on Mr. Hansen's behalf. State's position on bail.
Yes, Your Honor. The state notes, as the complaint suggests, Mr. Hansen is out on bond in 3 Dane County misdemeanors, all 25 CM case numbers. I believe those are still all open with incident dates of May, June, and July of this year. Given the fact that this is the 4th case, I know this is not an Act 3 offense, and none of the cases Mr. Hansen's on bail for right now are Act 3. The state would ask for $500 cash bond. There was a failure to appear in 24 CM 2076 and 24 CM 2015 back on September 20th of 2024. Although I will note there was a return on warrant in those cases the next day. And
I also have court for them cases on Friday this week.
Sir, you need to not interrupt. Go ahead, Attorney Lazarus.
And I think the only other thing I would mention is we'd ask for a ban from all Menards locations and no contact with Barry B.
Was that Barry?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you.
BARRY. B is in boy.
Attorney Schluter?
Judge Wood object and would ask the court to issue a signature bond here. It does appear that, as Attorney Lazarus noted, that, the non-appearance was rectified the next day. I would note that Mr. Hansen also appeared for court out of custody on October 17th of 2025. That was all before an attorney had been appointed on those cases for him. So that was Mr. Hansen appearing on his own without the support, excuse me, of an attorney. I would note that since then, an attorney has been appointed from the public defender's office. So that attorney will be able to work with Mr. Hansen towards resolving these cases. I guess what we have here is an allegation that Mr. Hansen used a credit card for approximately $146. What was noted in the complaint is using that to purchase gloves and a face mask when Mr. Hansen was otherwise, by all accounts, it seems, dealing with homelessness at the time, and I think living out of essentially a storage unit for much of that. Buying those things in the winter here. I would ask that the court also not impose a no contact with BB. I believe that is the defendant's grandfather. I guess I don't have any indication that that's what BB would request. And I also don't think there's no allegations of any violence between them. It seems like BB is otherwise a potential support system for Mr. Hansen out in the community. So under all those circumstances, Judge, I think given his appearance rate, a signature bond would be appropriate. Again, these are not Act 3 cases. And so would again not ask you to ban him, or sorry, put him in no contact with BB.
There's a PSA report in this case. It gives him 5 out of 6 on new criminal activity, 4 out of 6 on failures to appear. Obviously, there's pending charges at the time of the offense. He's got prior misdemeanor convictions. He's got prior sentences to incarceration. This is now his 4th open case. Given the potential penalty of these cases keep increasing for Mr. Hansen, I do believe that cash bail is necessary to assure his appearance at future court date. I will set it in the amount of $500. I will order no contact with Barry B. I will order that you not use or possess any financial transaction cards not in your name. And a ban from all Menards. We are adjourned in Mr. Hansen's case.
Next is Joseph Detweiler.
Mr. Detweiler. Paperwork? Stand going.
Court will call 25 CF 2812, State of Wisconsin versus Joseph Detweiler. Appearances.
ADA Carl Lazarus for the state.
Eric Slater appearing with Joseph Detweiler, who appears in person in custody. Mr. Detweiler is eligible for public defender representation, would acknowledge receipt of the criminal complaint and waive formal reading. I think that's all right now, Judge.
I have read the criminal complaint. It alleges 1 felony charge. State's position on bail.
Yes, Your Honor, may I just have one moment? Thank you, Your Honor. I was just verifying that appears Mr. Detweiler has a DOC hold. And in light of that, the state would ask for a signature bond with the specific condition of no contact with Kevin C. unless obtaining, or unless in the course of obtaining legitimate medical attention, and banned from merit or hospital except for legitimate medical purposes, and a condition of no alcohol.
Any objection, counsel?
No.
I will then order during the pendency of this action, you are not to consume or possess any alcohol. You are not to be at merit or hospital or have any contact with Kevin C. unless it's in your treatment for legitimate medical purposes. Time limits as to the preliminary hearing, counselor.
We've read the time limits.
Time limits are waived. A status conference shall be scheduled. Good luck to you, sir.
Next is DONTA COLLINS.
Court will call 25 CF 2666, State of Wisconsin versus DONTA COLLINS. Appearances.
ADA Carl Lazarus for the state.
May never be used again on court of law. The judge stated that, well, she just says this case.
Judge Eric Suter appearing with DONTA COLLINS, who appears in person in custody. Mr. Collins, I currently don't have information on Mr. Collins' eligibility for public defender representation.
I believe he's currently housed in the prison system, so he may be eligible. Mr. Collins, they're giving you information in regards to how to apply for a public defender in this case. I have reviewed the criminal complaint against Mr. Collins. It alleges one felony count, states position on bail.
Yes, Your Honor. Like the two co-defendants, the state is making a similar cash bond request that we made in those two cases, which is $1 million cash bond. I note that one of the cases, Jordan Sharlow received $1 million cash bond with condition not to release except to Dane County Pretrial Services and fitted with the GPS monitoring bracelet. And we're also asking for that, along with no dangerous weapons, no ammunition, house arrest. Additionally, we're asking for no contact with Jordan Sharlow and Justin Sharlow, the co-defendants. No contact with the immediate family of Darius, Darius H, or the immediate family of David E.
Is it E?
Yes, Your Honor. Or Ricardo, ICCARDO, last initial S. In addition to the request, obviously largely based off the allegation of first-degree intentional homicide as a party to a crime, the state notes that Mr. Collins has at least some Act 3 convictions, including Dane County case 21 CF. To verify, that's, yes, 21 CF 1149. That was a conviction for substantial battery as an act of domestic abuse, which resulted in a 5-year sentence in the Wisconsin Department of Corrections, 2 years initial confinement, and 3 years extended supervision. Additionally, there was a prior Act 3 conviction for, in Dane County case 21 CF 1144. That was misdemeanor battery, which resulted in a period of probation. There's also a felony bail jumping conviction, but that's obviously not Act 3. Without going through the entire criminal history, all I can say is those are the most recent Act 3 convictions I'm aware of. And really, again, under both an Act 3 analysis and a likelihood to appear in court, just these allegations alone, knowing that at least theoretically, there could be a sentence of life in prison, that in and of itself is incentive to flee. There's also a concern under Act 3 public safety analysis. And for those reasons, our bond requests mirror those of the requests we made in the codefendants, which is the $1 million.
Defense.
So just one moment, Judge. Judge, I know the state's asking for $1 million. I don't think that that's appropriate under these circumstances. I think first and foremost, bail is supposed to be, take into consideration the means of the defendants and what's necessary to, I guess, ensure their appearance here in court. I don't think there's an indication that there's $1 million necessary for Mr. Collins, nor that he would be able to post that amount of money. I think that number is thrown around just across the board anytime there's a homicide. But I don't think that practice really, again, does take into consideration a defendant's means. I think also, too, the state is mentioning here that they had made that same request for the co-defendant, Mr. Sharlow. I would note that from the complaint, Mr. Sharlow is charged with, I believe, 4 different counts of first-degree intentional homicide related to multiple different. I'm sorry. I guess I just want to make sure I have 5 counts charged in the complaint that I have.
1 through 3 are for one of the Sharlow brothers. Count 4 is party to a crime. The 3rd homicide with the other Sharlow brother, and then Mr. Collins is a party to a crime of that one.
Okay,
charges.
I'm sorry, I misread the name on the 4th charge. Related to Mr. Sharlow, at least with Mr. Sharlow having 3 counts charged to him, and so that's not what we have here for Mr. Collins. I have not represented Mr. Collins in the past. Mr. Collins has told me that part of this matter has potentially been addressed in criminal proceedings before, that potentially have that thrown out. So I think, based on what he's telling me, there may be some issues with some of the evidence that the state relies on in this criminal complaint. Certainly, I think defenses are something that can be considered as far as cash bail go. Mr. Collins is also, as noted, in custody at this point. I believe he will remain there for at least a good period of time here. So I don't think that there is a significant flight risk because Mr. Collins is in custody. And so I don't think that he needs to be sitting on $1 million cash bail in addition to that. So for all those reasons, Judge, we'd ask you to consider a lower amount of cash bail in this matter, $50,000.
I would note that Mr. Collins is charged with 1 of the 3 homicides as a party to a crime. He is not charged with all 3, as one of the Sharlow brothers is, who received the higher bail that the state is addressing. That being said, this is a homicide. It's Act 3 eligible. Protection of the public is actually the utmost of importance in regards to this, given the serious nature of this offense. Mr. Collins is incarcerated currently, and it appears for a fairly lengthy period of time. However, if he were to be released, I do believe he would be a flight risk to appear at this case, and I do believe that the public would be in danger from Mr. Collins, having read through this complaint. Given all of that, I believe high cash bail is necessary to protect the public from Mr. Collins and to assure his appearance at future court dates. You're throwing around things might have been litigated. There might have been a defense. Obviously, you've just met with Mr. Collins and aren't familiar with that. Mr. Collins is providing you with that information, but setting forth no valid defense at this point. I don't think that weighs in favor of a smaller bail for Mr. Collins. I'm going to set cash bail in the amount of $750,000. I'm going to order that he not go armed with any dangerous weapons. I'm going to order that if he is deposed and is released and done serving his sentence, I will refer him to bail monitoring for house arrest. I will order that that be implemented prior to his release. I will order no contact with Justin and Jordan Sharlow. I will order no contact with Darius H's family, David E. family, and Ricardo S. family. As to the time limits, council.
And Commissioner, there is a word produced which commands are be scheduled prior to December 24th, so I think we'll need to learn on the 23rd.
It's going to be scheduled timely, council. It's going to be scheduled timely because the order to produce returns them on the 24th. So they'll schedule it before then.
Okay, we let the time limit remain anyways.
Time limits are not waived. A preliminary hearing shall be scheduled timely. We are adjourned in Mr. Collins' case. Thanks, Fred. Have a good day.
Did you send me a second?
Okay, good to go. Next is Sandy Jackson appearing via Zoom.
Court will call 25 CM 2935, State of Wisconsin versus Sandy Jackson. Appearances.
ADA Carl Lassers for the state.
Eric Schluter appears with Sandy Jackson, who appears by Zoom from the Dane County Jail. Ms. Jackson, can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear me all right? All right, Ms. Jackson gave me a thumbs up. Ms. Jackson, did you also receive a copy of the criminal complaint?
Yeah.
Okay. Judge would acknowledge receipt of the criminal complaint, pay formal reading. I am not currently aware whether Ms. Jackson is eligible for public defender representation.
Ms. Jackson, this is a criminal matter. You may qualify for representation through the public defender's office. You need to make sure that you apply for an attorney in regards to this matter. It's a criminal case. You do have a right to be represented by counsel. I have reviewed the criminal complaint. I do make a probable cause finding. I will enter a not guilty plea on Ms. Jackson's behalf. State's position on bail.
The state would ask for a signature bond with the condition of a ban from all properties owned by the Community Development Authority. My understanding is similar language is currently in effect in an injunction, I believe the underlying injunction, and that's everything the state is asking for.
Counselor?
Judge, no objection to the signature bond, I guess. I don't have the language of the injunction in front of me. I read the complaint. I guess it's unclear to me whether or not it applies to just the CDA or whether it's a specific property that Ms. Jackson was found at. I guess I'd ask that it be a bit more tailored to the specific property if the state has any information about that property. I don't know. It appears Ms. Jackson is otherwise potentially dealing with homelessness. I know CDA has, I think, a significant number of properties that she might interact with just based on that need.
Miss Jackson, I'm going to give you, a signature bond.
Quiet.
I'm gonna order that you comply with 25 CV 3822. I'm gonna order that you have no contact with properties owned by the Community Development Authority or CDA during the pendency of this action.
Yeah.
We are adjourned.
Was that it?
That's it, Miss Jackson.
Next is Ryan Johnson. Johnson.
Court will call 25 CF 2786, State of Wisconsin versus Ryan Johnson. Appearances.
ADA Carl Lassers for the state.
Eric Sitter appears with Ryan Johnson, who appears in person in custody. Mr. Johnson is eligible for public defender representation, would acknowledge receipt of the criminal complaint, wait for more reading.
I have reviewed the criminal complaint. As to count 2, I do make a probable cause finding and enter a not guilty plea on Mr. Johnson's behalf. State's position on bail.
Yes, Your Honor, may I just have one moment? Yes, Your Honor, the state would ask for cash bond in the amount of $2,500. Conditions of no contact with Brittany, BRITTANY, last initial P, a condition of no alcohol, and a condition of no dangerous weapons. I think the state's request is largely based upon, I guess, count 2 as alleged right now is technically Act 3 offense. This case involves an allegation of use or possession of a firearm. Under an Act 3 analysis, we do believe that this amount of cash bond is necessary. I do not have any information about any failures to appear.
Defense position.
Judge, we would ask for a signature bond in this matter. I think in looking back in CCAP in the last case I see, I believe it's a 23 CM matter, and it appeared that Mr. Johnson appeared out of court, or sorry, in court out of custody in that matter on a signature bond, if my notes are correct. So I don't think that he's a risk here to not show up to court. I think given that, I don't know that the cash bond that the state is asking for is necessary here. I'd also note that from the complaint, it's alleged that Mr. Johnson, when he received a call from the police to come outside and turn himself into law enforcement, he did so. So I do think that there is information in the complaint that suggests that Mr. Johnson is willing to comply with both officers, and then his past here indicates that he's willing to comply with the court. For those reasons, I don't believe that the cash bond is necessary. Would also object to a no contact with, I'm sorry, I get the initials wrong, I believe it's BAP, and would ask the court not impose that.
Upon review of the criminal complaint, I do order no contact with Brittany P during the pendency of this action. I do order that you not possess or consume any alcohol, and that you not go armed with any dangerous weapons. As to the cash bail, it alleges you've got a prior felony conviction. It looks like it's back from 2004. You've got more recent convictions. This is an Act 3 eligible offense. The conduct is disturbing. that's alleged in the criminal complaint. Given that you are a convicted felon and the allegations allege that you have firearms, I do believe that some cash bail is necessary, given this is an Act 3 eligible case. Given that you did comply with law enforcement and come out, I'll set it lower than I originally had intended. I will set it in the amount of $500. And I will set those non-monetary conditions as I previously stated. Time limits as to the preliminary hearing counsel.
Will you please keep the time limits?
Time limits are remained and a preliminary hearing shall be timely scheduled. We are adjourned in Mr. Johnson's case.
Next is Robert Darden.
Court will call 25 CF 2818, State of Wisconsin versus Robert Darden Senior. Appearances.
ADA Carl Lazarus for the state. And did Your Honor call two cases?
I did not.
There may only be one.
I-
I'm just checking.
Thank you, Judge. Eric Sitter appears with Robert Darden, who appears in, in court, in custody. Would acknowledge receipt of the criminal complaint, wait for more reading. I believe an updated mailing address for Mr. Darden would be 5986 Schrader Road, Apartment A in Madison, 53711. Mr. Darden is eligible for public defender representation.
I have reviewed the criminal complaint. As to the misdemeanor charges, I do enter a not guilty plea on his behalf after making a probable cause finding. State's position on bail.
Yes, Your Honor. I would note, it appears Mr. Darden is out on bond in 25 CM 2422, 25 CM 2533. Those are the cases I'm aware of. I believe it's the same victim in those two cases I just mentioned. And now we have this case, which obviously has just have a moment, Your Honor. Sorry. Sorry about that. Which obviously has a CF number and allegations. A burglary in its own right is an Act 3 offense. I think that's the only one I see. But the fact that there appears to be some escalation, the fact that this is the third known offense that's pending now with the same victim, and the fact that there's just a concern under an Act 3 analysis, we would respectfully ask for $2,000 cash bond, condition of no contact with Ashley F. And Ashley is spelled ASHLEY. A ban from the 5400 block of Williamsburg Way in Fitchburg. A condition of no alcohol. I would also add a condition of pretrial services with GPS to enforce the no contact in the address ban. Again, it's the third pending case with the same victim in a short period of time. I think all the case numbers are beginning with this year, 2025. And if the court believes that remote alcohol breath monitoring is also appropriate, we'd ask for that as well. If Mr. Darden is going to be on pretrial services, and that would further protect the public, enforcing the no alcohol.
Counselor.
Judge, we'd ask the court to consider a signature bond here. I'd note that Mr. Darden is indigent, eligible for public defender representation. He does not have the money to post $2,000 cash bail in this matter. It's my understanding that Mr. Darden, before he was brought into custody, had just been hired on to start a new job at UPS and Target for seasonal work, but had not necessarily been able to start that. So I, again, don't believe he has the means to post the $2,000 here. Going through the complaint, they talk about, I know it's charged as burglary. I think what's allegedly taken here is a $14 bottle of wine from the criminal complaint. So I do think that there's certainly, at least even what's alleged, mitigating factors here. And obviously, as Mr. Darden stands here, he's not been convicted of any of these crimes against the alleged victim here. I do think that pretrial services would be appropriate in lieu of cash bail here for Mr. Darden. I'd note that on the 2 misdemeanor cases that are pending, no pretrial services have been ordered. Both of those cases are charged out, I believe, as disorderly conducts. So I think given the increased allegations here, again, I do think the pretrial services monitoring that the state mentioned would be appropriate in lieu of cash, GPS, and alcohol if the court felt that that was appropriate and necessary. But I do think that would provide sufficient oversight for Mr. Darden and ensure for both the state and the court that he was not having any contact or in the geographic area with the alleged victim.
There's a PSA report in this case. It gives him 6 out of 6 on new criminal activity, 6 out of 6 on failure to appears. He has pending charges at the time of the offense, prior misdemeanor convictions, prior felony convictions, 3 or more prior violent convictions, 2 or more failures to appear in the past 2 years, failure to appears older than 2 years, and failure to appear and prior incarceration. Ultimately, it recommends cash bail. Given the number of cases and reading through this complaint, it appears that when law enforcement had contacted Mr. Darden or attempted to contact Mr. Darden, he barricaded himself in the house. It's alleged that the police officers had to actually have a standoff with him and ultimately had to break into the house to arrest Mr. Darden. Given the conduct with the police, given the PSA report as detailed, given the number of cases, given the Act 3 eligible nature of these offenses, I do believe that cash bail is necessary to assure Mr. Darden's appearance at future court dates. I also believe it's necessary to protect the public. I will set cash bail in the amount of $1,000. I will order no contact with Ashley S., a ban from the 5400 block of Williamsburg Way, that you not use or possess any alcohol during the pendency of this action. I will order pretrial services and GPS monitoring. I order that to be installed prior to release. Time limits as to the preliminary hearing, Counselor.
Not waived.
Those are not waived. A prelim shall be scheduled timely.
And Your Honor, I believe Your Honor said Ashley S. I may have misspoken, but the last initial is F. Ashley F. And just asking about the state's request for just no alcohol.
I said not possess or consume any alcohol.
Okay, I misheard that. Sorry.
That's all right. We are adjourned in Mr. Darden's case. Good luck to you, sir.
Thank you.
Next is JEREMY DANKS appearing via Zoom for a bail bond hearing.
Bring the one.
Court will call 25 CM 1517, State of Wisconsin versus DARACEE DANKS appearances.
88 Carl Lazarus of the state.
Eric Schluter appears with DRC Danks, who appears by Zoom from the Dane County Jail.
What's that time? Nice. I'm totally good with
We are here for a bail hearing, state's position on bail.
Yes, Your Honor.
I just wrote that. She went and agree.
Yes, Your Honor. The state would ask the court to reimpose the just looking at the matter. We're just here on the 25 CM case. And in that case, the state would just ask Your Honor to reimpose the signature bond. I know there was a missed court appearance, I think 2.5 weeks ago. And now, Mr. Danks was arrested, so hopefully, or the defendant was arrested, so hopefully they have gotten, I guess, effectively the message that they need to come to court. And we'd ask for the same non-monetary conditions as well.
Any objection?
No.
Given the position by the state, I will reinstate the signature bond and all non-monetary conditions. Ms. Danks, if you fail to appear again, they will not be reinstating a signature bond. You'll be looking at cash bail. You need to make sure that you make your future court appearances. Thank you. We are adjourned. Ms. Danks' case.
Next is Justin DROGSVOLD. DROGSVOLD.
Court will call 25 CF 2775, State of Wisconsin versus Justin DROGSVOLD, appearances.
ADA Carl Lazarus for the state.
Okay. Eric Schluter appears with Justin DROGSVOLD, who appears in person in custody. Mr. DROGSVOLD is eligible for public defender representation, would acknowledge receipt of the criminal complaint. The address listed is not currently correct. 3404 East Thomas Street in Milton, Wisconsin, 53563.
I have reviewed the criminal complaint. I do make a probable cause finding as to the misdemeanor and entering not guilty plea on Mr. DROGSVOLD's behalf. Position on bail.
Yes, Your Honor. The state would ask for a signature bond, condition of no operating a motor vehicle, a condition of no alcohol, and a condition of pretrial services with remote breath monitoring. The state believes these conditions are appropriate. This is alleged as a fourth offense. It appears, at least as alleged, there's a problem with alcohol, and that a pretrial services with remote breath would provide some accountability to prevent ongoing drinking. Also note, it appears there are 2 pending cases in Rock County. That's 25 CM 823 and 25 CM 735. Those are with a incident dates that I believe are both 1 month and 2 months prior to this incident date in October. One is a misdemeanor bail jumping. One is a disorderly conduct. As far as other pending cases, just to verify, I see no other cases in Dane County that are pending, but there was an OWI third that was very recent. It looks like the OWI third was adjudicated after this OWI fourth was alleged to have happened, which was on November 21st of this year. The sentence was, I believe, a period of jail time, which may be served or being served in Rock County. So we would respectfully ask for a signature bond with those non-monetary conditions, specifically pretrial services. As it appears, as I'm reading the procedural history, this offense was alleged to have occurred actually while on bond for an OWI third that has since been adjudicated, indicating a greater need for pretrial services. Thank you.
Mr. Ruggle was serving the sentence in Rock County. There was a camper returned on, he was on an alternative monitoring project. He was allowed to serve that he was sentenced out of Rock County, but after he failed to appear the other day with that $4,000 posted, he was brought back to Dane County.
It looks like there was $4,000 that was posted initially. It looks like it's been forfeited. And the state's requesting a signature bond at this point. The failure to appear was on December 8th. Defense position on bail.
Chris, I have one more.
Your Honor, just to add one thing for the courts, there's a pending case in Columbia County too. 25 CM 307.
Um,
That's what just added. So I want to correct the record. I wouldn't agree with that today. Bring that up.
So Judge, I guess it looks like the bond was ordered forfeit. Yesterday, I don't know if this court would address bringing it up, but we don't have an objection to the signature bond if the court wouldn't reinstate that cash bond that was previously ordered. I know Mr. DROGSVOLD, I believe, is subject to breathalyzers in Rock County. If the court wants to put him on pretrial services here, I think it would be a little bit duplicative, but I can certainly understand the request from the state to have that monitoring. As was mentioned, this obviously was an occurrence prior to Mr. DROGSVOLD resolving. I think it was both a second and a third that put him in custody here and on that sentence. So certainly I think the recent history from Mr. DROGSVOLD is a willingness to resolve these cases. So under the circumstances, we would ask the court to, again, go along with the signature bond recommendation. I do believe he's being monitored, but if the court wants to order pretrial services, we'd have no objection.
I will give Mr. DROGSVOLD the signature bond. The bail was forfeited previously. You'll have to file any appropriate motions you wish to reinstate or work with the state on any reinstatement of the cash bail that was forfeited. I will order that you not drive during the pendency of this action. I will order that you not consume or possess any alcohol. I will order pretrial services with the remote breath monitoring. Yeah, talk to him first.
So, okay, sounds good. Okay.
Time limits as to the preliminary hearing, counselor.
It doesn't have any impact on, it's just about, so more exactly good.
Okay, we'd waive the time limits, Judge.
Time limits are waived. A status conference shall be scheduled. Good luck to you, sir.
Great.
Bond, this isn't safe. Okay, so they should say process you out. That's supposed to pay. That is.
When we're ready, John Quee Stanley is next.
Can we just fix on minutes here?
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Maybe there's an hour because two weeks ago. That you see what the problem last seems going on. Yes.
Stanley with us?
Yes, yes. Stanley? It works. Stanley with the Alliance.
Court will call 25 CF 2809 Youngquay Stanley appearances.
ADA Carl Lazarus of the state.
Eric Slater appears with Yanni Stanley, who appears in person in custody, would acknowledge receipt of the criminal complaint. The address listed is correct. Mr. Stanley is eligible for public defender representation.
I have reviewed the criminal complaint as to counts 2 through 4. I make a probable cause finding and enter a not guilty plea on Mr. Stanley's behalf. State's position on bail.
Yes, Your Honor. I just have one moment. Yes, Your Honor. The state would ask for a signature bond. I know Mr. Stanley has 2 pending cases, but I believe all 3 of his pending cases, including this one, are non-Act 3. We'd also ask for a ban from UW campus property and a condition of no controlled substances or drug paraphernalia without a valid prescription.
No objection.
I will give Mr. Stanley a signature bond. I will order that you not use or possess any controlled substances or drug paraphernalia without a valid prescription. I will order that you are banned from the UW campus property area. You need to make sure that you stay out of that area. Or you're going to get more charges. Time limits as to the preliminary hearing, counselor.
I would waive.
Time limits are waived. A status conference shall be scheduled. We are adjourned. Good luck to you, sir.
Next is Jeremy Adeyanju. Appearing via Zoom.
Court will call 25 CM 2932 State of Wisconsin versus Jeremy Adeyanju appearances.
ADA Carl Lazarus of the state.
Eric Slater appearing with Jeremy Adeyanju, who appears at the Dane County Jail by Zoom. Mr. Adeyanju, I don't know. Can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear me? All right.
Can you come down so they can hear you? He says he can hear you.
All right. Is he able to come down by the, I guess, little window or door?
Can you give a thumbs up through the slot? Or say it again.
They moved the microphone. Say it again.
Yeah. Mr. Adeyanju, can you hear me all right?
He's standing up by the door. He can hear you.
Okay, well, I guess I can't hear or see Mr. Adeyanju, so I guess I would prefer to have a little bit more ability to see if he's saying something.
Looks like the defendant is in a segregation cell somewhat nearby if you want to review with them personally.
Yeah, could I please?
It's. We're not supposed to see you.
And brief German.
Here you go, audio's on.
Can we turn it off as usual?
You just want to turn it off? Yeah, you can turn it off.
We're back on the record in 25 CM 2932, State of Wisconsin versus Jeremy Adeyanju appearances. Is that who that was?
Yes.
ADA Carl Lazarus for the state.
Eric Schluter appears with Jeremy Adeyanju, who appears in person, or sorry, by Zoom from the Dane County Jail. Would acknowledge receipt of the criminal complaint, wait for more reading. I believe the address listed is correct. I do not currently have information about Mr. Adeyanju's eligibility for public defender representation.
Mr. Adeyanju, this is a criminal case. You should make sure that you apply at the public defender's office to see if you qualify for an attorney at state expense. If they turn you down, you can appeal that or hire your own attorney, but you want to make sure that you follow up with getting yourself an attorney to represent you in this case. States, I have reviewed the criminal complaint. I do make a probable cause finding. I'll enter a not guilty plea on Mr. Adeyanju's behalf. I note for the record that there was a break that was taken and Attorney Schluter was allowed time to speak with Mr. Adeyanju before proceeding with this hearing. State's position on bail.
In light of the DOC hold, the state would ask for a signature bond with no specific non-monetary conditions.
Any objection, counsel?
No.
I will then give Mr. Adeyanju a signature bond. We are adjourned.
I did just hear back from the interpreter, so you should be very short.
Okay. Do you want to proceed with the other individual via Zoom?
Yeah, that's certainly fine with me.
Okay. Next is Zachary Goff, appearing via Zoom.
Court will call 25 CM 2934, State of Wisconsin versus Zachary Goff appearances.
ADA Carl Lazarus for the state.
Eric Schluter appears with Zachary Goff, who appears in person in custody from the Dane County Jail. It appears that Mr. Goff has his head down by the opening here. Mr. Goff, are you able to hear me all right? Can you give me a thumbs up? Sorry, I think it's muted. Can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear me all right, Mr. Goff? Okay, Mr. Goff is giving me a thumbs up. I believe the address listed, the 615 East Wash Ave, is the best mailing address for Mr. Goff. Would waive formal reading of the criminal complaint. I do not currently have information about Mr. Goff's eligibility for public defender representation.
Mr. Goff, this is a criminal case. Make sure that you obtain information in regards to the public defender. You can apply for an attorney to represent you. If they turn you down, you can appeal that decision to the public defender's office or hire your own attorney. I have reviewed the criminal complaint. I do make a probable cause finding. I will enter a not guilty plea on Mr. Goff's behalf. State's position on bail.
The state is asking for a signature bond, condition of no contact with Kenny S., and a ban from the men's shelter in the 2000 block of Zaire Road.
No objection.
I will then order a signature bond. I will order that as a condition during the pendency of this action, you are banned from the 2000 block of Zaire Road, the men's shelter located there, and you must have no contact with Kenny S. We are adjourned.
Next is PHILLIP Cribs.
Chris. Stand on the legs.
Court will call 25 CF 2811, State of Wisconsin versus PHILLIP Cribs appearances.
ADA Carl Lazarus for the state.
Eric Schluter appears with PHILLIP Cribs, who appears in person in custody. Just gonna have one quick moment. I apologize. Yeah. Okay.
So it's the right assessment. And that commissioner paper, which I think was the 234. Oh, wait, okay, but that where.
Mr. Cribbs also has a second case. Court will also call 25 CF 2810.
Thank you for the moment, Judge. I don't really recall where I left off, Mr. Cribbs. I believe that the updated mailing address for the moment should be the 1819 Aberg Ave, the job center. He is eligible for public defender representation. I would note that he is currently working with attorney Adam Welch, I believe, on his pending case.
I have reviewed the 2 criminal complaints. I do make probable cause findings as to the misdemeanors in each of those cases and enter not guilty pleas on Mr. Cribbs' behalf. State's position on bail.
Yes, Your Honor. The state first notes that it appears that in addition to these 2 cases, Mr. Cribbs has a separate pending felony case, 25 CF 1700. That's actually scheduled for prelim on sometime next month, January 22nd. Also, it appears that all 3 of these cases, these 2 new ones and the one I just mentioned, all involve the same victim. The first case I mentioned was from July, I believe, of this year. In 25 CF 2810, the state is asking for $1,000 cash bond, condition of pretrial services with GPS, no contact with Jodeci. It's JODECI, last initial B. A ban from the Greenbrier Apartments complex in Madison. The reason for the cash bond request and the GPS request has largely to do with these being the second and third pending cases. The third pending case with the same victim. The state notes that the first case with the victim, as it relates to the state's argument for GPS, involved a victim who was pregnant at the time, and then there was a car crash, I believe, in the Meriter parking lot, and it was and when police went to investigate that incident back in July, I believe Mr. Cribbs had fled the scene, and the victim at that time had been, I think, rushed inside to check on her well-being, and the defendant was not there after allegedly causing a car accident, if I remember that case correctly. Here, we believe that this amount of cash bond, again, is appropriate, given that these are the second and third pending cases. The pretrial service is appropriate, given that they all involve the same victim within a period of just 6 months, and that GPS is appropriate. In the other case, 25 CF 2811, the state would separately ask for $500 cash bond, but would ask for the same non-monetary conditions. I believe the Greenbrier Apartments are in the 200 block of Randolph Drive. I can double check that, but we would ask for a ban from the 200 block of Randolph Drive in Madison, the same pretrial services request. I believe there is a failure to appear from October 7th of 2024. And I believe that's everything. I'll note that there was, I think, a TRO granted in 25 CB 3992. And previously there was a bail hearing in 25 CF 1700 where the court had changed bail conditions to contact only through third party for child custody or placement. But with all that, no further argument from the state.
Counsel.
Judge, I know the state is asking for between the cases $1,500 cash bail. We'd ask the court to consider a more modest amount here for Mr. Cribbs at $500 between the cases. It's my understanding that is the most that Mr. Cribbs would be able to post. I'd note here going through that the two cases we have here don't involve any sort of physical violence. We're certainly not objecting to any no contact order, and as the state mentioned, there is now a restraining order in place. So I do think that under the circumstances, $500 would be appropriate. I would note too that it looks like Mr. Cribbs was taken into custody on these matters at court when he was appearing for court on December 8th. He did appear, it looks like, out of custody with Attorney Welch, and then was taken into custody on these matters. So I do think that there is, again, recent indication of Mr. Cribbs certainly appearing here for court. So for all those reasons, Judge, I think a $500 cash bail would be more than sufficient. Would also not object to pretrial services monitoring here. I know that was not previously ordered in the cases that were pending. I think under the circumstances, that amount of cash bail and that monitoring would be sufficient for Mr. Cribbs.
I would note that there is a PSA report in these cases. It gives him 5 out of 6 on new criminal activity, 4 out of 6 on failure to appear, ultimately recommends modest cash bail with pretrial supervision. Given the pending cases, given the charges in these offenses, given the recent issuance of an injunction against Mr. Cribbs, I will in 2810 order $1,000 cash bail, no contact with JOSEPH B, that you not be at or around the Greenbrier apartment complex. I will order a referral to pretrial services for GPS monitoring. In 25 CF 2811, I will set cash bail in the amount of $500. I will order no contact with JOSEPH B. I will order a ban from the 200 block of Randolph Drive. I will also order a referral to pretrial services for GPS monitoring. Time limits in regards to these cases.
Would waive time limits, would waive time limits and just ask that it be set at the same time as other preliminary hearing is set on the 22nd if possible.
And do you want prelims set on that date, or would you like status comments?
Prelims, please. I would imagine that Attorney Welch will most likely be appointed to these cases as long as there's no issue.
Then we are adjourned on Mr. Cribbs' case. Good luck to you, sir.
They just.
Next is Sylvester Ordonez.
Court will call 25 CM 2938, State of Wisconsin versus Sylvester Ordonez. Appearances.
ADA Carl Lazarus for the state.
I don't know.
Eric Studer appears with Sylvester Ordonez, who appears in person in custody. Would update the mailing address for Mr. Ordonez to 3946 Oren Road, Madison, Wisconsin, 53713.
I have reviewed the criminal complaint. I do make a probable cause finding and enter not guilty pleas on Mr. Ordonez's behalf. State's position on bail.
Yes, Your Honor. I just have 1 second. Yes, Your Honor, the state would ask for $500 cash bond. And we'd also ask for conditions of no contact with victim 1 and a ban from the men's shelter. I believe that would be on Zaire Road. The reason for the cash bond request is this is the second pending case. The first pending case is 25 CM 1723. 1723. I don't believe there are any failures to appear. It's BW. B is in boy.
Fence.
Just 1 second, Judge. Judge, we'd ask for a signature bond for Mr. Ordonez. It doesn't appear that he has. Well, I guess I would note first that the PSA here recommends a signature bond for Mr. Ordonez. We have no objection to the conditions that the state had asked for of the no contact and the geographic ban. And speaking with Mr. Ordonez, I don't believe that he has the money to post a $500 cash bail, given that he only has one other case pending. And he appears to be showing up for court in that matter. I would ask the court to give him the opportunity here on a signature bond to resolve this matter.
PSA report gives him 3 out of 6 on new criminal activity, 4 out of 6 on failure to appear. It does indicate he's got 1 prior failure to appear in the past 2 years. And a pending charge at the time of this offense. Other than that, he is no's across the board and recommends a signature bond. Given all of that, I will then give Mr. Ordonez a signature bond. I will order no contact with BW and a ban from the men's shelter located at Zaire Road. You cannot go there during the pendency of this action. We are adjourned on Mr. Ordonez's case.
Next is Bryson Zeitz, appearing via Zoom.
Thank you for coming back, Fred.
Thank you, no problem.
Get double steps.
Roll call 25 CF 2819, State of Wisconsin versus Bryson Zeitz. Appearances.
ADA Carl Lazarus for the state.
Eric Schluter appears with Bryson Zeitz, who appears in person, or I'm sorry, in custody from the Dane County Jail. Mr. Zeitz, are you able to give me a thumbs up through the little window there if you can hear me all right? Okay, it appears that Mr. Zeitz gave a thumbs up. I spoke with Mr. Zeitz prior to this case being called. I can acknowledge receipt of the information. The address listed is correct. It's my understanding that Mr. Zeitz is not currently eligible for public defender representation.
Commissioner, they lost the video signal.
We will pause. It appears frozen.
We can come back to him. Right now, we can move on to Kenny Joseph. Joseph.
Roll call 25 CF 2814, State of Wisconsin versus Kenny Joseph. Appearances.
ADA Carl Lazarus for the state.
Eric Schluter appears with Kenny Joseph, who appears in person in custody. Would acknowledge receipt of the criminal complaint. Wait from a reading. Mr. Joseph is eligible for public defender representation. The address listed is correct.
I have reviewed the criminal complaint. I do make a probable cause finding as to the misdemeanors and enter not guilty plea on Mr. Joseph's behalf. State's position on bail.
Yes, Your Honor, may I just have 1 second? Yes, Your Honor, the state would ask for $500 cash bond with the only non-monetary conditions of no controlled substances or paraphernalia without a valid prescription. The reason for the state's request is I believe this is the 4th pending case. I think there was a failure to appear in 25 CM 1353 on June 23rd of this year and a return on warrant on July 16th of this year. Also, I believe there's cash bond in 2 of the misdemeanor cases that are pending, but not in the pending felony case. And the state has no further argument.
Counselor.
Thank you, Judge. We would ask the court to consider a slightly lesser amount of cash bond here. Would ask the court to consider $250 cash bond. I suppose I would note here that the charges that Mr. Joseph is facing here are certainly different than the charges that Mr. Joseph has pending in the other matters. I believe that those are domestic related matters, and he has been appearing for court on that. So certainly this is not a situation where Mr. Joseph is, I think, picking up additional charges with the alleged victim in that case. It does relate to, I think, substance that Mr. Joseph is alleged to have been found with. Under those circumstances, and given that he had otherwise appeared in court, I think the $250 cash bail would be appropriate. Mr. Joseph is indigent And so I think that slightly lesser amount than what the state's asking for would be more attainable for him. Thank you.
In looking at the criminal complaint and the pending cases, given that Mr. Joseph has multiple cases, the potential penalty does increase. Looking at this complaint, there's multiple controlled substances inside the vehicle. However, Mr. Joseph is compliant. I do believe cash bail is necessary to assure his appearance. I'm going to set it in the amount of $250. I'm going to order that you not use or possess any controlled substances or drug paraphernalia during the pendency of this action. Time limits, Attorney Schluter.
Attorney Schluter, Mr. Joseph does have a prelim related status conference scheduled for February 9th, so time limits will wait if we can schedule those along with that.
We waive time limits.
Time limits are waived, and this shall be scheduled for. We are adjourned in Mr. Joseph's case. Good luck to all parties.
Yeah, this way, sir. The deputy, right. The deputy just informed me he is back with Bryson Zeitz.
We'll go back on the record on Zeitz if the bailiff wants to turn the camera back on.
All of the video.
All right, I don't recall where we were. I'm going to recall 25 CF 2819, State of Wisconsin versus Bryson Zeitz. I know we did appearances, and I think counsel.
I think we lost as I was in the middle of going through a lot of those initial things. So I guess I'll restart a little bit. Mr. Zeitz, can you give me another thumbs up if you can hear me all right? I'm sorry, I'm not seeing any reaction from Mr. Zeitz. I don't know if the bailiff can maybe confirm if sound is coming out on your end.
They're muted.
Okay, I would note that, I guess at this point, it looks like the Zoom from the bailiff's end is muted, so I'm not sure if you're saying anything.
Attorney Schluter, you were able to meet with this defendant earlier, right?
I was. I'd just like to make sure that he can hear me, I guess, at this point.
Bailiff informed me he's got video, he cannot hear the court.
Okay. You're on mute. I don't know if can't hear. Anyone else we can do?
Looks like the bailiff's unmuted, were they successful in getting on you?
Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
Sounds like no.
Nope, not at all.
We can hear you, but they can't hear us. I know you're fiddling with the computer, so I'm just going to keep talking. Can you hear us? Again, I'm going to take that as a no.
Attorney Schluter, is this a case that you're comfortable proceeding on without our fully operational Zoom card down by segregation?
I guess I'd just be a little unwary about proceeding with the hearing without him being able to hear me.
Oh, can you hear us?
You said
Yeah, I think I can hear you now.
All right.
Okay.
Mr. Zeitz, if you can hear us, give us a thumbs up, please. Thumbs up.
All right,
Go ahead,
thumbs up.
Counselor.
All right, Judge. So I believe that I was confirming Mr. Zietz's address as listed on the complaint is correct. He's not currently eligible for public defender representation.
Mr. Zietz, this is a criminal felony matter. As such, you have a right to an attorney to represent you. Sounds like the public defender's office says you are not eligible. You need to make sure that you apply. You could appeal that decision or hire your own attorney to represent you. I have reviewed the criminal complaint. It alleges one single felony count. State's position on bail.
Yes, Your Honor. The state is asking for a signature bond, conditions that Mr. Zietz not operate a motor vehicle at all, and that he also have a curfew, that he remain in his home between 8 p.m. and 5 a.m. The reason we're asking for a signature bond is primarily because I believe Mr. Zietz is only 17 years old. The state believes that the conditions of no operating a motor vehicle and the curfew, as mentioned, we're not asking for pretrial services. We're just asking for a curfew because this offense happened at 10 o'clock at night and Mr. Zietz is only 17. But we believe these non-monetary conditions are appropriate.
Counselor.
There's no objection to the no drive and certainly no objection to the signature bond. Would just ask the court not to impose a curfew at this point. I don't have any information that would suggest that Mr. Zietz has any other record adults or otherwise, certainly at least that I'm aware of. I do think that the bond condition and the no drive is sufficient. I don't think we have a reason otherwise to think that Mr. Zietz won't comply with the court's order otherwise. I will say that he currently lives with his parents at that Knoll Valley Road address. So certainly there is, I think, some additional supervision just from the parental sense in Mr. Zeitz's life. So given that lack of any sort of history, I'd ask the court not to put a curfew at this point. I think that could always be readdressed if there were some issue that the state or the court became aware of.
I will give Mr. Zietz a signature bond. I will order that he not operate a motor vehicle during the pendency of this action. Given the lack of history that's been presented at this point, given Mr. Zeitz's age, I am not going to impose a curfew. Mr. Zietz, make sure that you comply with the terms and conditions of your bail and not drive and make all your court appearances or commit any new crimes. Time limits as to the preliminary hearing, counselor.
We'd waive them.
Those are waived. A status conference shall be scheduled. We are adjourned to Mr. Zeitz's case.
When we are ready, next is Joseph Alcorta, appearing via Zoom. We're ready. We're ready.
Roll call 25 CF 2822, State of Wisconsin versus Joseph Alcorta. Appearances.
ADA Carl Lazarus for the state.
Eric Suter appears with Joseph Alcorta, who appears by Zoom from the Dane County Jail. It appears that the window slot is open for Mr. Alcorta. Mr. Alcorta, if you can hear me all right, can you just give me a thumbs up sort of down in that window slot? Okay, Mr. Alcorta has given me a thumbs up, would acknowledge receipt of the criminal complaint. The address listed is still the best mailing address for Mr. Alcorta. Would waive formal reading. I do not currently have information about his eligibility for public defender representation.
Mr. Alcorta, this is a criminal case. As such, you have a right to counsel representing you. It's a felony matter. You need to make sure you apply at the public defender's office, see if they qualify for state representation. You can always appeal that or hire your own attorney as well. As for today's purposes, I have reviewed the criminal complaint. I do make a probable cause finding. I will enter a not guilty and plea on your behalf. State's position on bail.
Yes, Your Honor. I just have 1 second. Yes, Your Honor. The state would ask for a signature bond. We'd ask for a condition, no operating a motor vehicle, no alcohol, no controlled substances or drug paraphernalia without a valid prescription. And we'd ask for pretrial services with remote alcohol breath. The This is actually an OWI 6th as alleged. I think the OWI 5th was in 2017. We believe these are appropriate non-monetary conditions, and the state has no further argument.
Counselor.
No objection.
I will then order a signature bond. I will order as conditions that you not use or possess any controlled substances or drug paraphernalia without a valid prescription. I will order that you not use or possess any alcohol. I will order that you not drive a motor vehicle, and I will refer you to pretrial services for alcohol monitoring. We are time limits as to Mr. Alcorta.
It's my understanding he'd like to keep the time limits, please.
Time limits will remain. A preliminary hearing shall be scheduled. We are adjourned.
Next is Preston David.
Court will call 25 CF 2823, State of Wisconsin versus Preston David. Appearances.
ADA Carl Lazarus for the state.
Eric Schluter appears with Preston David, who appears in person in custody. Mr. David is eligible for public defender representation. The address listed on the criminal complaint appears to be.
Yeah.
Appears to be correct.
I have reviewed the criminal complaint. It does allege one felony charge. State's position on bail.
Yes, sir. And may I just have 1 second on this case as well?
My dad might be a great.
The state, I should mention, Mr. David has no known criminal history. I'm not aware of even any arrests. It does look like he did speak with police at some point. And I think that was when contact was later made with Mr. David at his address. In light of all that, we would ask for a signature bond, condition that Mr. David not operate a motor vehicle without a valid driver's license. And I believe that's everything.
No objection.
I will then give Mr. David a signature bond. I will order that you not operate a motor vehicle without a valid driver's license. Time limits as to the preliminary hearing, Counselor.
Well, keep the time limits, please.
Time limits will remain, and we are adjourned. Good luck to you, sir.
It's fine, sir. Right this way.
How's everybody?
Great.